shadows holding on. All the things I resisted.
What is up, guys? Cody here, and welcome back to some more Napoleon Total War. So we are on IIIenium. This is going to be a 2v2, and Zeno sent me in this replay. So Zeno's going to be in command of the Austrians. Now, the rules for this battle were no artillery, max 4 lights. So with that being said, let's get right into the army comps. So starting on the left flank, he's going to be bringing some Uhlans. I actually believe 4 Uhlans in total. There they are. Actually, 5 Uhlans. I think one's consisting of Hungarian hussars, but as for his main light infantry, he's going to be bringing some Hungarian fusiliers, German fusiliers, and more of each of those units. Now reserves, he's going to be bringing his elites, so he's got the 1st Regiment, the Emperor's Own, looking very nice. Nothing too different from the regular line infantry that Austria has to offer, but being all white, they do look very, very classy. Moving on, we have the 47th, and they look slightly different. You see the green colors and green trim. And then finally, we have the Archduke Charles Legion. And they are going with the brown and blue. So looking very nice. He's going to be keeping those guys in reserves for a later time. So Zeno's going to be facing a bit of a civil war here. And he's going to be facing the Austrians as well. He's going to be bringing a similar army comp, bringing Uhlans. But looks like Zeno has brought Karl. I cannot pronounce his... yeah, I'm not going to try. I would fail miserably. But here he is, clean shaved, looking very nice. He's going to be leading the way for his army with his cavalry. Now next, Zeon, we have the French here. And they're going to be facing the Swedish, so they're going to be on their own side of the battlefield engaging. But it looks like we have a cav engagement about to begin. Great charge by Zeno, definitely outnumbering the enemy Austrian cavalry, and as a result, the enemy is going to be retreating its cavalry, knowing that he does not want to lose it at the start of the battle. So Zeno does control the high ground right now, and that is crucial for this engagement. Now, a little bit of a spoiler alert. Haven't watched the replay yet, so just as new as you guys, but Zeon told me this was a great replay and a very, very close one towards the end. So just keep that in mind. This is going to be an extremely intense matchup pretty much the entire game, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So Zeon is going to be controlling the forest on the left flank. He's got some Uhlans here. It looks like he's going to be putting these guys into hiding, so maybe a sneak attack will come from Zeon's cavalry. But as for the enemy forces, not too much is happening. They are really clustered up and really not willing to engage on both sides. So a bit of a stalemate here. But for Zeon, it is definitely not the case. He's going to be trying to push up his light infantry. Same here for the enemy Austrians, pushing up their Grenzers, and they're trying to get first shots off. It looks like the Grenzers here are about to engage. Zeon, though, not in light formation. That's going to be very costly. So only killing 6 guys here. And for some odd reason, only some Grenzers are engaging and killing 2 enemy or friendly Grenzers for Zeon. So take a close look at the minimap. Things are going to get very confusing this battle. So just keep an eye there to get yourself, organized. So Hungarian Fusiliers being pushed up. They're actually getting shot in the forest by the Grenzers here. It looks like we have some German Fusiliers pushing up as well. But the Grenzers are leading the way, getting their shots off, and it looks like they're going to be taking a part of the high ground as well. Sweden, though, actually starting to outflank Zeon. Zeon needs to be very careful of this massive cavalry push here by the mounted Jaegers. And they might be able to get some really good flanking fire off, shooting from horseback. So here they go, shooting their volley, and just like that, downing 15 men. So Zeon in a bad situation right now, facing a 2v1. Looks like Sweden is going to be pushing up as well. We have the militia up against some Chasseurs. These guys are going to be used as a meat shield unit, but this is going to allow the Swedish to push on the flank. He's going to be bringing 3 line infantry, and right now Zeon and his ally are very separated, nothing in the center. So to counter that, it looks like the French player is going to be shifting over some Old Guard and some Fusiliers to hopefully fill that gap, but as of right now, the Swedish are just outflanking Zeon and his positions. Over here though, the engagement is still continuing. We have an engagement in the forest right now. Grenzer's up against some Fusiliers. Both sides are in range, but it looks like Zeon is going to be taking the worst of the beating. And that is just because he is outnumbered right now. He has no light infantry over here, and it's basically a 2v4, excuse me. Pretty hard to tell due to the forest. But there are a lot of troops here just hiding. Over here, Zeon engaging the enemy Grenzers. Definitely outnumbered 2v1. But right now, the engagement has begun. Swedish line infantry getting very close to French positions, and the Old Guards are now a part of the main lines, and they're going to be trying to hold strong in this Swedish push. Over here, though, it looks like the Chasseurs are going to be trying to take the building here. And this is going to be really devastating for the Swedish because this is a very strategic point. We have the general very close and nearby, so maybe Hans can get hit. Looks like the militia are not going to allow that to happen, though. And they're going to be rushing the building as well. We have the mounted Jaegers now forming up. And it's actually forcing the French into square formation. And this is going to allow the Swedish line infantry to get some really good shots off. Perfect example here, down to 57 men, and these Swedish lines barely taking any losses. So Zeon notices this, and now he's going to be pushing up his Hungarian Hussars, and it looks like the Swedish line infantry unable to form a square, and that is really going to help out on this side of the battlefield, and even the odds for the French. But still in square formation, these mounted Jaegers definitely causing a lot of issues for the French army. And shooting on horseback makes it 10 times worse. Reforming their lines and just slaughtering the French right now. Old Guard definitely in some trouble, but keeping the morale pretty high for his troops. As for on the right flank, things are pretty quiet, but you can see more Old Guard are being shifted over, seeing that the British are definitely taking, French are definitely taking a beating. That horse going flying across the battlefield, but it looks like the mounted Jaegers trying to charge into the Old Guard here. Old Guard do form square at an appropriate time, and it looks like the tide is turning. Zeon with his cavalry actually breaking some of these line infantry. Same with the cuirassiers, they're being sent in to try and help the French lines. And the Swedish just unable to form square and just charge after charge straight into more line infantry. And you can see Hans is definitely in some trouble right now, and he's going to be retreating to back lines. We have some more mounted Jaegers here. They're going to be covering the retreat of the general. But for the most part, things are too close to call. We have more of a cav engagement here. Hungarian Hussars being sent off. And I believe they're going to be charging into more cavalry here by the Swedish. Another set of line infantry being pushed up, but this time it is the Life Guards afoot, an extremely elite unit for the Swedish, and they're going to be holding the center flank. Now, not too much is going to be facing the elite troops for the Swedish, besides this one Old Guard unit and this Chasseur unit. But other than that, the French lines are getting very thin, and most of the action is consisting on the center part of the battlefield. Cuirassiers, very heavy in melee combat right now, and he's continually pushing back the Swedish forces. Over here, it looks like the Hungarian Hussars are about to break, down to only 2 men. They lasted a very long time, but they did end up losing to the mounted Jaegers. Over here, not too much is happening. A little bit of a push here by the enemy Austrian player. They're going to be having a skirmish engagement, or continue having a skirmish engagement with these Hussars. But as for the forest, Zeon knows better. He knows that he cannot win this left flank, so it is definitely a better option to fall back and reform his lines. He also has some Uhlans here, as well as the 1st Regiment. These guys are here just to keep the morale high, and in case some lines do break, he can easily fill the gap. But things are very even here. 49 up against 87. That number is definitely dwindling down, seeing that there are some Fusiliers now helping out. So great teamwork from Xeon, helping his teammate out, and but sadly, it seems to not be enough. The Swedish are just causing too much damage and actually charging into the Chasseurs here. Unable to form square, these mounted Jaegers are going to have a great time. Same with the Old Guard. These guys can just only watch, too small to form any squares, so they are going to be countered by some Chasseurs. These guys are on the flank, and they're going to be trying to cause as much damage as possible for these Swedish lines. But this time the Swedish player able to form square, but getting shot at pretty much point blank by the Chasseurs. But French cavalry caught up in the square, and he's going to be charging down the lines into more elite Swedish line infantry. Swedish mounted Jaegers going to try and counter this push here. We have the general charging by, trying to keep the morale high, but this unit was not able to form square, and they are definitely in some trouble right now. And as for on the far left flank, a bit of a push here by the enemy Austrian player, but he's facing an uphill battle. You can see these guys are hidden in the forest, and they do have the height elevation. Over here, Xeon is committing on the far left flank, pushing up his elite troops as well, and pushing in his Uhlans. So now, with the enemy forces in square formation, it's going to allow Xeon and his Hungarian Fusiliers to get some good shots in on these guys in square. So let's take a look at this volley as it does fire. There we go. Killing a couple guys. But these Uhlans are on a mission right now, and they're actually going to be charging into the Grenzers. Excellent charge there, bringing them down to 69 men. Causing a lot of morale shock, but there goes his Uhlans. But a big, hectic clash here in the center, right flank. Looks like the Swedish are just breaking, unable to form square, and these Dragoons causing a lot of damage in the lines. We have even more line infantry trying to form square. It looks like they did, but Hans is in some trouble right now. Let's try to locate where he is at. I believe this is him. There's only 5 guys left in the unit, and it looks like he does make it to safety. Line infantry covering his retreat, but I believe this is him right here, running supersonic speeds. But the Swedish just barely holding on right now. And the French starting to overwhelm the positions, but a great charge here by the Lifeguards afoot and breaking the Chasseurs, and now it's going to be Lifeguards afoot up against Fusiliers. So things are definitely not completely over for the Swedish. I mean, by no means actually. They're actually starting to crumble the left flank for the French, but the French do hold some decent numbers in the center. But the line infantry here for the Swedish do hold the forest, so they're going to get many fewer losses than of the French. Engagement on the far left flank now starting to really pick up. Enemy Austrian player really wanting to take this hill and pushing up very heavy troops right now and trying to overwhelm Xeon and his positions. But Xeon is doing a really good job in this forest right now. Looks like some enemy Uhlans though running through his lines. And they're causing a lot of mayhem on the left flank. You take a look at the minimap. His flank is starting to crumble. But he does have some German Fusiliers in square formation, so that's going to help out a lot. So right now, this German Fusilier unit is the only unit holding his flank. Other than that, he is definitely isolated. As for the center though, another great cavalry charge by Xeon, forcing the enemy units into square formation. It's going to allow, once again, more Hungarian Fusiliers to get even better shots off. So seeing that the big assault is happening on his hill, he's going to be pushing up even more Hungarian Fusiliers. And they're going to be engaging some German Fusiliers. French getting pretty desperate right now and actually charging or pushing all his units in this one building. So very interesting move here. But the Swedish very low on numbers, so it's pretty much down to a 1v1 at this point. And whoever can win this side of the battle is going to be victorious on this flank and maybe even in pretty much the entire game. Looks like Karl's trying to get in on the action, trying to keep the morale high. And his units, elite units, are now in the thick of it. Got the Emperor's Own as well in square formation, so pretty epic square here. Both units working together and trying to hold this flank, but right now they are in some big trouble. We have the German Fusiliers And they're going to be shooting point blank straight into the Emperor's zone. And they're going to be reforming their battle lines. And you see, highlighted in blue, his troop movements. And I believe 3 enemy forces or units still hold this forest. So if he does want to crumble the enemy Austrian flank, he needs to break those guys. Not to mention more troops being shifted over. Big melee clash in this house right now. We have, I believe, 150 Swedish up against, I would say, doubled that for the French. So odds aren't looking good for the Swedish. Definitely a very interesting melee engagement here. Still haven't breached the second floor. Just saying that, there goes the Swedish entering the second story. And the French general can only watch from a distance. Can't really go into that house on a horse. This is not meant for him, but he's going to try and do his damage. He's actually going to be filing out the enemy general here, and he's going to be charging in, so what he can't do in the house, he's going to be doing to the enemy general, and we will see if he can chase him down. Running though, but the French are starting to lose a lot of men, down to 3 units, 3 on 3 right now. Odds are not looking good in the forest. More units are sent to this far right flank for the enemy forces, and now they are really starting to overwhelm Xion and his positions. Light still do control this hill. It's going to be a very significant role for these guys. But as for the right flank, they did push back the enemy Austrian forces. In a very awkward situation for these enemy forces right now because they're kind of pinched in between 2 Austrian units. So he's going to be retreating to his side of the battlefield. But like I said, French general trying to chase down the Swedish general. And the question is, will he make it? So not much cavalry is left on the battlefield, and it looks like the Swedish are going to overwhelm the French positions. 47 plus 29 up against 53. Things are very close, but the lifeguards afoot did break, and that's going to play a significant role in this melee engagement in the house. And it's starting to look like the Swedish are overwhelming the second floor right now. But now it's down to a 1v1. 40 up against 43. Too close to call who's going to win this. And once again, the French general charging into the Swedish general. And it looks like the Swedish general is just trying to tease him. Unable to get him. He's just going to be teasing, going back and forth. Playing some cat and mouse. That's some good teasing there by the Swedish player, and just trying to mock the French general and being too slow and fat to chase him down. So once again, another charge here by the French general. But maybe this time the Swedish general will be caught off guard, and it looks like he will. Looks like the general caught off in melee combat right now, actually killing one of the French bodyguards and losing one of his own, but making it back to safety. And running off with his unit once again. So that time getting a little bit too close to call. But for this left flank, the engagement is still continuing. Actually, no, they are hidden right now. It looks like the enemy Austrian player or troops unaware of what is in this forest right now. They are out of range, but they did just come out of hiding. And they might be able to get off the first volley in this engagement. You see just how close these guys are. Very close in the forest. Now hopefully Xion is not out of ammo, but it looks like he's going to be falling back even further here. Interesting move by the German Fusiliers, trying to charge into Xion's Grenzers. And once again, another big push by Xion, this time pushing up his Hungarian Fusiliers and the 1st Regiment. And he's going to allow the Austrian player to get first volleys in. That is going to be very devastating. So we will see who can win this engagement. Xion's going to get some return volleys off and trying to even the playing ground. But over here, Xion is definitely committed in trying to break these Austrian units which are breaking or running from the battlefields. But over here, melee engagement is still happening. And this is an extremely awkward situation. Looks like no one wants to really push each other out of the house. So instead, they're going to be sharing the house. So very kind of both sides. In, you know, just having some personal space and just enjoying their time in this house right now. So interesting to see this. No one is fighting. Peace is finally occurring between the two nations, at least inside the house. But outside, things are definitely not the case. Maybe they're having some drinks. Maybe they're just having a nice party. But I spoke too soon. Looks like they are out of drinks, and they're going to be back at it, fighting in the house again. So interesting to see that. But over here, it looks like a melee engagement is occurring. And it looks like Xion's troops are breaking from the battlefields. So 2 of his units have broken. He still has 1 left, but it's a 1v2 right now. Extremely confusing who is who right now. But on the left flank, Xion once again forced to fall back, this time with only 3 units remaining. And another unit over here. Grenzer's trying to break these German Fusiliers as they do charge in. Unable to break them, caught in melee combat right now. And just like that, the final units on the side for Xion have broken. So that means only 1 unit is victorious. These German Fusiliers were able to beat Xion's troops. And let's take a look back at this house. Maybe things are all calm. Yes, they are. So things are very strange in this house. But over here, it looks like both units did break, but Karl was able to break the enemy German Fusiliers. Now down to just 3 units on this side of the battlefield. And that is it for Xion. So Xion has 3 units in total, plus the 1 French unit, which is just chilling in this house. But things are not looking good for him. Definitely outnumbered. Let's take a look. So 4 units here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 against 4. Things are not looking good for Xion and his ally, but we are going to fast forward and see what happens. And it looks like the enemy German Fusiliers are going to end this nice peaceful engagement in this house. And once again, he's going to cause hell for the French. So looks like the Swedish did break for some strange reason, and they are out. So not too sure where they're off to. But now we got the German Fusiliers just outside. French going to try and shoot them down as they do push away. And it looks like they're going to be chasing down Xion and his final unit. So you can see their positions in the house right now. Or excuse me, in the forest right now. But with no light infantry, he's definitely outranged. So he's using this hill to his advantage, checking out the terrain and making sure these Jaeger Grenzers are unable to hit him. And you can see barely able to see him. Actually, not even able to see them. So great job there, Xion, using the terrain to his advantage. And it looks like just out of sheer fear, the Fusiliers of line did break, and no one controls this house. So down to just the general now, and only a couple units left. But it looks like Xion's going to be pushing up his units and engaging the German Fusiliers. German Fusiliers on the retreat right now. But a very good volley by Xion. Got some flanking fire here. We have the Archduke Charles up against the 1st Regiment. These guys definitely outnumber the Emperor's Zone. And for some odd reason, the Austrians are retreating, maybe because the reserves are coming in and they want to have some solid battle lines. But right now, he is retreating, maybe because he's out of ammo. Looks like he's going to be going into melee combat right now. Karl getting some action as well. He's going to be charging into this German Fusilier unit. And look at that, very bad morale. He's actually broken this 1 unit and the other. So the announcer is saying the battle is over, but Zeno definitely has some juice left in his army, and he will we will see what he can make out of it. So once again, Karl charging into another unit, this time a German Fusilier unit. Down to orange morale. And another big push here, and it looks like Karl is going to be engaging Karl. Some very interesting things here going on this battle. But we will see. Maybe Zeon's Carl will defeat the enemy Carl? Who knows? So 3 up against 9. And look at that! Zeon actually able to kill the enemy Carl and actually beat him. So interesting to see that, but his own general did break from the battlefield. You look at Carl running away on his horse with his friendly general's bodyguards. But very interesting to see that. So bad morale for the enemy. And look at this. His German Fusiliers doing a lot of damage to the Archduke Charles Legion. And they're going to be committing a cavalry charge. Looks like the French general is going to get in on the action. And so is the general's bodyguard of the enemy Carl unit. So things are getting very close right now. And it looks like his enemy units are starting to break from the battlefields. And would you look at that, German Fusiliers actually beating Archduke Charles. And there goes the French general routing from the battlefield. Down to a 3-on-3 right now. We have some Grenzers here routing from the battlefields. He's got some German Fusiliers, not to mention these German Fusiliers in melee combat. And we have some more German Fusiliers engaging some more German Fusiliers. So German Fusilierception, that is for sure. Things are definitely very confusing. But Zeon not doing a bad job at all right now. And what a comeback. So definitely an interesting comeback. Definitely outnumbered. And look at that now. A 3-on-1. And will Zeon pull it off? That is the question. 78 up against 57, definitely outnumbered, and look at that. He has broken from the battlefield, but things are not over yet. Only 2 units left for him and 1 up against the Grenzers. So, enemy Grenzers, only unit left on the battlefield. And Zeon only has 2 units left, consisting of his own Grenzers, not to mention some German Fusiliers. So, what a comeback for Zeon. Outnumbered, I'd say 3-8, and bringing this back and actually having the advantage here. But Zeon definitely should not get too happy right now, because things can change once again. 33 Grenzers up against 49 Grenzers and 57 German Fusiliers. But we're going to fast forward. Volley getting shots off into the German Fusiliers there, bringing them down to 51 men. But on the run, red morale, things are not looking good for the enemy forces. So we're going to fast forward. A final stand for these Grenzers. So will these guys be able to defeat the enemy? And no, they will not. So Zeon pulling off the win. Unbelievable comeback. Just insane to see. You know, the luck was definitely on his side. Killing Carl, the enemy Carl. That played a huge role in morale for the enemy forces and probably was the biggest turning point for this battle. So great battle from both sides. And Zeon on top, 1,500 kills. Next to that, we have the French player, 1,200 kills. As for the enemy players, Rock and Roll getting 1,000 and Crucible getting 1,400. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Very close battle. And that is pretty much it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.
Of the past that control